So, hello everyone. Welcome back. We hope you had a nice networking break and something to eat to be ready for the afternoon. So we will kick off the afternoon with a panel around the important question for the European Champions Alliance. What is the role of cloud in cyber for European sovereignty? Something that we discuss very much in our focus groups and especially with our cybersecurity members and members in the cloud. And I would love to invite my panel to join me. First of all, Ayse Engel, welcome, Managing Director of Schwarz Digits. Grégoire, Germain, CEO of Harfanglab, French cybersecurity scale-up. Grit, Karg, please come and join us. Partner at Adfontes, law practice specialized in cybersecurity and data. And last but not least, Kemal, CTO of Arte. C'est ça. So thank you very much for being on this panel and for giving us your thoughts and your ideas on this topic. And I would like to start with a small introduction from each of you to give me, just to explain to us a little bit your role and also what is for you, just maybe in 1 minute, the most urgent challenge Europe faces in achieving digital sovereignty through cloud and cybersecurity. Difficult question for 1 minute, but maybe just a couple of keywords.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. So, as I am in the cybersecurity business, I am a scale-up. Harfanglab just raised 2 times, and now we are scaling in Europe. I think the main challenge is to grow with resiliency. That means we have a dependency. We used to say that Europe is a digital colony of US. So that's a question. There is a lot of regulation. And the challenge for us to build up large players to counterbalance the competition in the market.
Thanks. I will try as a lawyer to answer in 1 minute. I think, one of the main challenges might be to balance the legal framework. We already talked a bit about regulation, so which is quite rigid in Europe, and which is not bad because it's one of our values and one of our protection values. But it should not hinder innovation. We should still enable competition, and we should invest in local technology development. And to combine this with the legal framework, this is one of the challenges I see.
Difficult indeed to answer in 1 minute. Just a couple of thoughts. There's on the one hand, in my role as a CTO, having within my teams the reflex or the mindset to ask themselves whether there are other possibilities rather than directly running to the hyperscalers. So it's on the one hand a mindset problem. On the other hand, we have also the chicken and egg problem because the reflex to say, okay, I'll find this in Azure or in Google or in AWS. It has a reason because these kind of tools, or offers, they are like very rich in what we need. And so on the one hand, there is this, do we have enough competition and enough attractive services? That's one part of the answer. And the second part of the answer is, we are by law, I'm representing a public broadcaster, German, French, European public broadcaster. So our stakeholders are ARD and ZDF on the one hand, and France Télévisions, Radio France, etc. on the French side. And so we are obliged to do every tenders by public tender regulations, and we don't have any incentive to do framework contracts or service contracts with European providers. We are measured against if it's the economically most viable solution, and that's always a mixture between the technical capacity and the money it costs you. So so by that we are like oftentimes forced to use non-European stuff where we might want to use European stuff.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayse Engel from Schwarz. So my view on this is I think the most important part is to find the right balance between investing in sovereignty but also to ensure business continuity. And this was a very good example for me, for example, today. So on a day-to-day business, when you're really working on these topics, you sometimes forget the big vision, yeah? So I enjoyed a lot the conversations here, and I think that's the most crucial part, to find the right balance between these both.
And so, Ayse, continue with you, actually. So how are you at Schwarz Digits addressing this issue of data sovereignty to ensure the independence, because this is what we have learned a lot is important for you, to ensure independence from non-European providers?
So in my opinion, there is not really more we can do as Schwarz Group because we have built our own cloud. Yeah? So with this, we can really ensure that we are independent from the big hyperscalers. And the idea came in 2017 when our group was asking themselves, okay, what happens to our data? Yeah? And we have a very big app which is used by 70 million of people. So we are using very sensitive data. And and we have built our own cloud. Yeah, so I think that's how we are doing it at Schwarz.
And how long was this? How can we imagine the time taking for this kind of project to making your own cloud? And what was also the implications maybe on other companies, because it's not only you who is using it, I think.
Yes, of course. So we it's a big journey and a long journey. Yeah? So we have started in 2017, and now we have above 1,000 people working on it. We have many companies who are approaching us, who want to be part of that journey. I think it's an ongoing journey. So it's still in development. We are adding new features and possibilities where possible, because we also want to strengthen our independency.
Okay, thank you very much. Grégoire, you're one of the European cybersecurity leaders. You're a scale-up, you're growing, you're becoming more and more important even on a European scale. So what, in your view, are the most pressing threats that impact sovereignty efforts today, and how do you help addressing them?
Yeah, the threat, sometimes it's obvious that we have a geopolitical context that is, we have war in Europe, in fact, and we have the cyberspace is a sphere of influence, you know that. It's also a new battle space, so it has to be defense. And every day we have threat coming from organization, from state. We have some technicals, APT, Advanced Persistent Threat, that helps conventional armed forces to reach their goal, in fact. So that's the fact. The second point threat is against our data, again, and I'm sure that is the same problematics that the private cloud is addressing. And we have also a lack of talent, probably, especially in the very typical in threat intelligence, researcher in threat intelligence. We don't have emblematic teams in Europe in threat intel. And how we address that since the beginning, so 7 years ago when we created the company, that we start to say we want sovereignty and trust. And To translate that, it's more for a customer, we provide strategic autonomy. It's not my decision to ask my customer to put the data in a specific cloud, in a specific area. This is the choice that he will make, and probably we are building our solution in an architecture which is completely cloud agnostic, that can go as on-prem as well, which is unique and in a strong differentiator in a space where you have mainly US competitors. And in the EDR, because we are making an EDR, endpoint detection and response, which is a very technological tool. And remember CrowdStrike, what happened to CrowdStrike, that such kind of things you can do with this tool to collapse the half the world on plane, etc. So we build the solution in an architecture agnostic, cloud agnostic. We put a lot of transparency in threat intel, in the rules, how we detect. We have a strong R&D in AI as well, in threat intel, and we explain the AI. We try to explain the AI. We figure out how we detect, how we explain to our managed security service provider how they can tune the solution. They can access to the raw data, to the metadata, which is unique as well. And finally, we have this transparency, this everything I do. You need to be state of the art, because if you are not state of the art, sovereignty means nothing. The customer wants to buy a solution that works, that detects. So that's why we passed the MITRE test, which is a US competition that classify groups in terms of best of breed solution. And we are with the leaders. So we are very happy with that. That's why I think we are the best solution in terms of EDR. I'm not very humble, but it's the fact. We are the best solution in Europe. So we are best of it. At the end of this journey, you can be certified, you can be qualified by organizations like ANSI in France, like the BSI in Germany. And that's the top of it. That's the cherry on the cake, in fact. And in this order, I think it's how we address the sovereignty with our solution.
Thank you, Grégoire. So this is from the, let's say, from the scale-up side, an interesting vision. And Grit, you're talking a lot to companies, to businesses in France and in Germany, and addressing with them their cybersecurity and cloud issues. So what are the key factors that they need to have in mind when they talk about sovereignty? How can they prepare best, also from your perspective, to be protected and compliant in the same time?
Yeah, well, when we work, so I work a lot with indeed French and German, because we are based in Berlin and Paris. And well, I work either with companies which are tech native, fully data-driven business, and which have among their sub-processor vendor list majority, maybe not 80%, but sometimes even more, of US providers. And why? Well, they do benchmark, look right and left, and I must say it's a bit the similar list. I also work with mid-sized companies which are more industrial, manufacturing, not yet with a cloud or cybersecurity strategy. And those companies, well, actually, they never talk to me and say, how can I do to integrate more European? I also talk to the vendor side, who wants to convince or have this as unique selling point, as USP, to say, like, made in Europe, your data stays in Europe, full control. So yeah, what are the points to take into consideration when it comes to embedding Europe into your vendor base? I would say first point, when we speak about cloud and cybersecurity solutions, and companies should be aware of that, it's one of their certainly strategic vendors. You normally have a important or low important strategic vendors, and cloud and cybersecurity is certainly amongst the strategic vendors. It's not the provider that will send the NPS survey to your customer base. So it's really the foundation of your business. When you're aware of this, there are certainly some arguments I can bring up from a more legal perspective. And what's interesting, because we talked quite a lot about it in the workshop I just had on cyber platform. And some points are certainly the maybe negotiation power. When you take US hyperscaler, you have none. You take it or leave it. You don't discuss. If you are lucky, you get answers on your questions, but mostly, yeah, you take it or leave it. And this is different if you choose European. It's much more accessible. You certainly reduce the dependency of geopolitical tensions. And from a pure privacy perspective, certainly it allows you to strengthen your privacy position, because you avoid topics on data transfer or access by non-European companies, for which, yeah, normally you have to do some compliance efforts, like putting in place transfer instruments or data transfer impact assessments. And another point, maybe also important, you will have much less effort to do to justify your choice with your own customer base, vis-a-vis authorities or certification bodies. And I think this is not only a theoretical point, but it's really true, especially when you go to Germany, where certification bodies, authority, but also customers are really sensitive and go into deep detail and don't want to hear a bit marketing blah blah, but they really want to know how it works and where the good data goes, and where the chain of your sub-processors end. So there are certainly some arguments to take into consideration, but I must also say, for some it might convince, but for a lot it's not alone convincing to have a better privacy position. So I think the other points that we just mentioned, from technical capability side, it's also super important, because no company will decide alone on the privacy, based on privacy consideration, unless maybe they had a big incident in the past. But normally, it's also all about scalability, technical capability.
Yeah, like Grégoire just said, it's not enough to be sovereign. You also have to have a good product that works and that is scalable. Kemal, so at Arte, you have to, of course, maintain accessibility for your audience at all times. So how do you, what are the let's say, the challenges that you have as a broadcaster in Europe to protect the data and also be sovereign in what you do?
Well, of course, we obey what is written by law. So we do GDPR in everything we do. In our offers, we do minimal data tracking. So of course we have recommendation engines, and in order to have a good recommendation engine, you need to analyze some data points to say, okay, he or she likes this and that genre, and the view time is this and that, blah blah blah. So you can do, you could either do what the big Silicon Valley companies do and exploit every piece of data, or you can really decide for yourself, and that's an ethical and business decision, to do the minimum of data collection, but still provide a good user experience. What you can also do is try to use where you find good alternatives, the alternatives. For example, in in everything we do within this video streaming and within the accessibility part. So when I say accessibility, I mean in that case subtitles or subtitles for the deaf and sourds et malentendants, je ne sais pas comment est-ce qu'on dit ça en anglais, für Gehörschädigte und genau, these kind of things we do, and and we try to operate. As you might know, Arte.tv, it's not only available in German and in French, but we have also English, Spanish, Italian, and Polish. That's how we cover 70% of the European population. 85% of everything we produce is produced in Europe. These are the things that we do, and these are conscious decisions, business decisions that we do. And in the technology part, you try to support wherever you can, so that the values we represent are technologically also lived and underlined.
Thank you, Kemal. Now let's take a look at a look in the future and the solutions that we are trying to come up here with. And Ayse, so many people were looking forward to meeting you and the Schwarz Digits team. Rolf, who has arrived now, hello. Because you're at the forefront of those developments, and I think also projects that many people look to see what you are doing and how you're shaping the future of the ecosystem. So how, and one question that we ask ourselves at the ECA is, how can private companies like Schwarz Digits shape this secure and sovereign European cloud ecosystem in terms of product, of course, but also in terms of the ecosystem? How can we better work together in Europe? How can we come together as different companies to have a European project around that? And I think you're kind of an integrating role here. So I would like to hear more about this.
Yes. So yeah, first of all, I also totally believe in this, and I'm also very proud of to be part of it. And I think there is just one possible way to support here, and this is to be a role model, which Schwarz Group definitely wants to be and is playing this role. And what we are trying is not to support sovereignty only for us, but also for our partners. So Schwarz Group has above 100,000 partners and suppliers. Yeah, so we are building up programs where we really also train and educate our partners. We are supporting knowledge exchange between these. And of course, the products which we have built for us, for our own, for the Schwarz Group, are now also available for the rest of the market. Yeah, so this is what we are doing as Schwarz Group.
And maybe, Andrea, maybe I just can add, because you said everyone wants to talk to Ayse, me included. I wanted to talk to Ayse, and I had the opportunity, and I want to say thank you, because these kind of gatherings, these kind of tech summits, actually they, besides of, I hope that everyone is like really enriched in what they hear and see, it's also about the exchange, okay? And it would have been harder for me to get like a 15 minutes conversation if we wouldn't have known each other. And so it is what these kind of places do and enable, and that's so important, because now we have like stuff that we can catch up on, and that are clearly in my where I want to understand more what Schwarz Digits does, in order to see how we as Arte, in terms of our future AI roadmap, might be able to use their systems or not. As of today, I have a vague idea, and so in order to my team, yeah, your pitch was great, and so in order to my team not having that reflex to go to Google immediately, this event helps me to tell them, hey, I met Ayse, we will do a follow-up, and you guys will be there with me, and so we will ask the questions what they can do for us. And that's basically, if you put a lot of multiplicators within the industry, from different parts, from the institutional parts, from the public sector, from the private companies, etc., together, and give them the room to exchange, then that's very valuable, and that's how the ecosystem gets created, in my opinion.
So now we have... We have found the new spokesperson for the ECA. Thank you, Kemal, for the pitch. And thank you for thanking us. But I mean, it's also, again, like I said this morning, part of what you did for us to make this event happen. Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. And so this is why it's a common effort of everyone. And this is why it's so important for us to have partners who help us pull this up. But thank you, Kemal, for the pitch. So when we talk about ecosystem, Grégoire, I want to ask you, because we're discussing this also in the A1B1 workshop the whole day, but the question is partnerships and working together and exchanging and creating those ecosystems are so essential in Europe so that we can move forward. So what are the ones that are the most important for you when we talk about independent cybersecurity solutions, when we talk about the cybers of tomorrow? What is the most important partnerships that you have to forge on a European scale to be able to grow quicker? Because the goal is to be able to, scale as fast as you can. And we know that it's complicated in Europe because we have so many different ecosystems. So what are the ones that are really essential for you to be able to rock it?
Yeah, the challenge to scale is, there is two dimensions. The first one is to the go-to-market, to grow in terms of business rapidly, so you can have pure organic growth by hiring people, opening new office in different countries. And in the other hand, you have to partnership with, to platformize in order to offer a better portfolio of technologies and in order to create upsells. And for those two dimensions, and that's exactly where we are. We want to scale, and the only way to scale for us is to platformize. So it's external growth. We need more money to acquire company, to create this platform in order to complete our portfolio and to compete with, I have a good example. We have Palo Alto. Everybody knows Palo Alto because they are selling firewalls to to antivirus, everything. And when you meet Palo Alto sales, they always has something to sell to you. It's amazing. So, but it's a good strategy. So we have to do that. And for that, we can't find gross equity. There is not enough money in Europe, so we have to partnership. You have to find gross equity. We have to find partnership. So it's a team building strategy. You have the corporate, you have the gross equity, you have the scale up, and you have to find a way to design the new strategy and to it's kind of mixed strategy, in fact, and to align all those different actors in order to create, to platformize and to create a real alternative to mainly US cyber platform, in fact. And I think it's urgent.
And do you think that when you speak, especially to the corporate world or clients, there are two approaches, what you say. First of all, you're a scale-up, you have a product and you want to sell it. And on the other hand, you have a vision of what you want to create in the as a European player. There are kind of two things that you can see. So how do you see people also understanding the vision of what you try to do and not only see the product that you want to sell?
Yeah, so clearly when you're talking with a private, gross private equity fund, they exactly see what they can do. The best example is Hornet Security in Germany with PSG. They invest when the company was, I guess, 15 million recurring revenue, and they leave the company when they reach 100. So it took 4 years, probably 3 or 4 years, I don't know. But that's exactly what they did. It's a good strategy because they invest in Europe and then they create a big actor, a large player in Europe. On the corporate side, I know that Schwarz Digit probably have a digital strategy in cybersecurity. You have a talk with Airbus as well. There is a real willingness of consolidation in Europe. And that's good strategy that exactly reflect what we think. So.
Okay. Kemal, I have another question for you. So you as a public broadcaster, so you are here to inform us, you inform the public about what's going on in the world and also of course the entertainment programs that you have, but you're also very much talking about what's happening in the world. So how do you, as a cultural and public organization, how do you basically ensure that the sovereignty also of your programs and of Arte is ensured? And what are there specific problems that we need to be aware of that you could have in your organization to be able to provide this service to us, the citizens, in a secure and sovereign way?
Andrea, it's a very complex question. I don't know if I understand it correctly. So there is editorial principles that we have, and Arte is not a hot news TV channel, but we try to provide always the European perspective, and always, if you look at Arte Journal, the Arte News show, or in our reportage au thema shows, you always see that we try to ensure the background regard, the information which is not like the mainstream thing that you can read and see everywhere. So this is part of our brand identity and part of our editorial values, and I think, I strongly believe, I think it's written in the Canadian Constitution, but I strongly believe that's also true for Europe, is that we should live unity in diversity, and unity in diversity is one of our main values. We connect people in Europe to make them aware that we are unique, we are diverse, but we're unique and united. So it's more kind of the way you translate the topics you pick, the way you do the covering of the stories you want to tell, the way you offer information which is not the mainstream thing that you can find everywhere. I think that's what the differentiation is, and that's what we hope is part of the glue that holds us Europeans together. I don't know if I answered your question, or you wanted me to answer more technically.
No, I was wondering if there are special, threats that we might not know about that a service like yours is facing every day.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Every time we have a critical documentary about China or about Russia, then our press department immediately calls us and says, shit, the Xi Jinping documentary will be online tomorrow. Kemal, what do you do? And we like, calm down, okay, we have everything under control, and we have resilient systems. Okay, I don't want to disclose what we have in place, but believe me that we have suffered actually a lot of attacks, and the reliability of our system architecture that we put in place, which is also costly, ensures that we never went down from attacks, because we have an architecture in place that is resilient enough, period. And so that's why I always calm them down and tell them and re-explain them. And then we have also a security operations center in place by one of the big European industrial groups. We have outsourced it to them, and it's a groupement d'achat, so it's like different French public broadcasters. They buy this service from that company, and so this security operations center obviously helps us with all those threats as well. So there is this additional layer, besides from having a resilient technological architecture, there is this layer of having a highly performant security operations center.
Okay, so we hope that you will be able to continue to broadcast all of this important information to us,
Exactly.
Of course, and be always critical to everything. So thank you for that. course, and supporting that. Grit, last question for you. When we look at the private and the public sectors, and we try to reduce dependency on non-European technologies, what do you see? What is the best way of collaborating between public and private sector to work on those issues?
Yeah, public and private, well, collaboration, partnership, I think can be one of the elements creating a positive context, allowing European startups to grow. It's certainly not the only one, but one of. I think there might be a certain fear of private companies to go into partnerships with public because, because of being afraid to being driven in a too public-only way or direction. So I think any kind of partnership should allow the private to remain very open. And I think it's a good way to create a support context, meaning in terms of investment, in terms of support for R&D development. And I think, of course, especially in terms of cybersecurity, European resilience should not only be a task for the private sector. Of course, it's inherently a state task, and so and this is why there is certainly an interest in those partnerships, providing to the private sector, the environment, allowing them to grow and to invest in their technology.
And if you could focus on one priority, it's a little bit like closing statement for each of you. If you could focus on one priority to advance European sovereignty in cloud and cyber over the next 12 months, what would it be for you?
Well, I hope that the regulation coming from the EU cyber security strategy, like the NIS2, the Cyber Resilience Act, will get on the road because it will bring cybersecurity from the creative sector into all the middle of the economy. And I hope we find ways and the economy find ways to integrate these requirements without suffering too much from the regulation and also difficulty to understand the complexity of the regulation. So I hope we get it on the road. Let's see, well, with the new German government, what the transposition acts bring.
Thank you. Same question for you. What is the one thing that we need to focus on in the next 12 months in Europe for cyber?
We used to say never walk alone, so never scale alone. So we have to partnership and to build up.
Okay, that's going to be easy. Ayse, maybe for you.
I think also focus and supporting each other to enable growth.
So working more working together, more acting together. Okay, Kemal.
Incentivize us as public institutions to do more business with the European ecosystem. As of today, as I said in my initial statement, I'm not obliged to do, and so if they control me and they control me each year, then I have to justify why I did my spendings on Google Cloud and not on Scaleway or Schwarz Digits or OVH or whatever it is. And so help me to spend my money there so that this ecosystem grows.
So on the one hand, when we talk about regulation, we say there is too much regulation, and then we ask for some more regulation. So, it's not that easy. What we would like to see, of course, is that the companies, not that easy, regulate themselves, but maybe we can be at the forefront and, sending this message into the ecosystem from ourselves and building up this pressure also in the private sector to, go in this direction of regulation. So thank you very much to this panel. I think we can give them an applause for talking about this topic.